Former undercover cops of Reddit, what is the craziest thing you had to do to not blow your cover? I worked as a transcriptionist for a while, and I transcribed some tape taken off of body mix of undercover officers working a very notorious domestic terrorism case. It was crazy. They would sound like an absolute backwoods hill people lunatic while talking to their marks, then later when talking to the other police officers, would sound all business and like a very professional person. As someone who is literally on Reddit avoiding my transcription duties, this sounds a lot more interesting than what I'm currently writing up. I'm just curious, but how does one become a transcriptionist? Do a Google search for transcription work and you'll find a bunch of sites that will hire you after a test. You don't get paid very much, but it's fine if you're a fast typer and are looking for a few extra dollars. You work when you want to, so it's flexible. My cousin was an undercover ATF agent. Anyway, they were trying to bust some guys for illegal alcohol distribution and were building a rapport by going undercover. My cousin doesn't take his ATF badge with him when he's undercover because if anyone ever saw it, he could get shot. Anyway, some hot-headed black and white cops came over and started harassing them. My cousin couldn't blow his cover, but pretty soon the police started getting physical and they beat crap out of my cousin and the guys he is trying to get evidence from. They take them all into the police station only to find out that my cousin is ATF. My cousin was pissed because cops aren't supposed to beat people up. He is currently filing a lawsuit against that police department. This sounds like one of those movie moments where a guy is undercover on a case for like 12 years just to have the entire operation screwed over by some gung-ho police officers. My friend who was an undercover cop said that multiple times he had to let himself be arrested to not blow his cover. Like when a sting was going down or whatever, instead of being like, "Hey, I'm a cop," he would get arrested along with everyone else. Former jailer for a large metro department here. We'd be notified that somebody was UC coming in from a raid, but other than that they were treated just the same as any other arrest. We'd keep an eye on them in camera to ensure safety. We were usually told ahead of time so nobody went, "Hey Smith, how'd you get arrested, man? Shit, your SGT is gonna be pissed," etc. etc. My friend used to be a state trooper. She told me about how she used to have to go undercover as a hooker to try to catch Johns. She didn't do so well though. She was far too polite, so they all knew something was up.
Good evening, would sir like some fellatio? Touching my breasts is $10 extra. Might I favor master with a tender kiss on the forehead?
BRB moving to Japan. When I first got started in forensics, it was when chat rooms and webcams were taking off, so pedophiles thought they'd be able to figure out who was who on the internet, since clearly you'll know you're webcamming with a 40-year-old dude munching on donuts instead of a 14-year-old girl. I was a naive 18-year-old woman who was just getting started in policing, doing some clerical work for my hometown police department, when I heard a couple people talking about how they were having a hard time chatting up creeps now that webcams were a thing. I told them why not just hire someone to act like an underage girl or boy and coach them on what to say and how to set up meetings to catch these assholes. Lo and behold, I volunteered myself for the job. We set up a bedroom in one of the upstairs offices, complete with a bed, a desk, and some posters from one of the officers' teenage daughters. I had to wear some of my high school sports clothes or pajamas while talking to predators via webcam. I passed notes back and forth with the team of officers and passed it off as trying to do homework while chatting. The hardest part was to still seem interested and innocent while this dude on the screen is telling me what type of horrible things he wants to do to my body, thinking I'm still a child. As a former correctional officer, we had a situation where a major police department planted a cop in the prison to get information on a guy they believed was orchestrating hits from inside the prison. The warden knew and I knew, by accident, but not a single other CO knew, nor did any of the staff, including medical, and that's the way they wanted it. He went through receiving, he was categorized and placed. It was wild. He was there for a week, got the info they needed and got him out. It didn't become public knowledge that he was undercover until after I had left, and it was a long while after as they were making a case. That was a surreal moment. You're missing important details. Did he wear his own face or the face of the brother of the guy they wanted information from? Were there any magnetic boots? What would have happened if the brother woke up from his coma? What was the face waterfall situation? I don't know what I hate wearing worse, your face or your body. My father worked for NCIS. He told me about an incident where his guys set up a sting to bust some drug suppliers who turned out to be local police setting up their own sting. They figured it out when they tried to bust each other. Edit. Grammar. That's hilarious. I'm sure the real drug dealers in the area thought it was too. They were pretty embarrassed all around. I'm sure they tried hard to keep it under wraps. Well, hey, at least you know they did their job well, if not even the other cops suspected them. I know a guy who often went undercover as a junkie. He was committed. He'd stop showering for a while before a gig and piss on his tracksuit before going into work. He was so good that he managed to get the same dealer convicted twice in the space of a year, and they never suspected he was the rat. He had multiple police records under different names too. 1. Piss on your tracksuit. 2. Go to local police station. 3. Become an undercover cop. I like to imagine he was some kind of highly sophisticated, high-class type when he wasn't undercover. Like, reading War and Peace in front of a fireplace while wearing a silk bathrobe and pajama pants and smoking a pipe. Officer. Terribly sorry, my good man, but I must ready myself for the working hour. Leaves room and comes back in piss-soaked tracksuit. Officer. Hey, bud, I'll smoke your meat pole for a Lincoln. Nice try, drug lord. I imagine there are numerous drug lords and cartel leaders anxiously waiting for responses to this question. Just waiting. Can confirm. I'm drug lord. Nice try, cop. One time a Homeland Security officer came up to my house undercover, flashed his badge and asked if he could come in. Once he was in, he pulled out a piece of paper with my neighbor's face on it. He asked if I had seen him around lately. When I asked what he did and let him know I haven't seen him around, he told me what he was wanted for. Rape, child abuse, drugs, the whole lot. Turns out he raped his stepdaughter, and once he found out he was wanted, he went back to El Salvador. I thought they only flashed their badges in the movies, but turns out the shoot's real. It's scary that someone like that could live next door to you, and you could never know. Not a former undercover cop, but I have a second-hand story about an undercover cop. So, this guy appears out of nowhere and befriends a relative of mine who was involved in illegal stuff. Dude was very friendly and just down to party. Had money. Paid for. Product. Everything. Would drop in on parties and even allegedly hooked up with hoes. Then he placed an order much larger than before. Few weeks later, relative of mine is arrested and is currently in prison. Craziest thing an undercover cop had to do to keep their cover? Buy drugs and frick bitches. I remember a few years ago in Seattle, people were complaining because the cops took months to do an undercover investigation at a strip club to determine if the women were prostitutes. Apparently, this investigation entailed going to strip clubs a lot, drinking beer and trying to get strippers to do things for money other than dance. They proudly announced several of the women were prostitutes, and the club was shut down. Meanwhile, violent crime was increasing, and 3rd and Pine was an open-air drug market. They also did stings at bikini barista stands by driving up to the window with a $20 sticking out of their flight. Not a cop, but a guy my mom dated for a long time was. Older guy, in his 70s now, he was fresh out of the academy and at the Asbury Park riots. Sad, scary shit. And then was an undercover narcotics cop for 14 years during the 70s and 80s with the NJSP. He was Puerto Rican and spoke Spanish, was an ex-Marine, and became a state trooper. They utilized his ability to blend in with organized crime in the Latin community. He had to do coke in front of a bunch of dudes during a buy one night and basically stuck his knife in and blew a mound up his nose. Then he started having a minor paranoia panic attack that they were going to find out he was a cop thanks to the gram of blow he just took to the dome. He was breathing heavy and went out for air. His heart was pounding out of his chest, panicking over how to get out of it. One of the gangsters came outside to talk to him. He's ready to run or fight. Guy goes, man, I've never seen someone snort that much at once, man. You okay? He sighs a huge sigh of relief and was like, yeah, I never did that much. I'm having trouble breathing, heh. The guy was really nice, brings him a drink, and they smoked a cig. Everyone is joking that he has the heart of a lion to take that much. He actually felt bad about locking that one guy up when it all went down. Think he said he tried to help him or get a reduced sentence or something. There are other stories. You know what that means. Like, comment, and share. Reddit Story Topper. Subscribe now.